We've seen the massive amounts of backlash for Disney's live-action race-swapped Little Mermaid over the past several months. From the very first teaser trailer that was released, from the first full trailer that was released, we saw it bombed with dislikes from audience members who didn't like what they saw for one reason or another. Maybe it's because it was another soulless live-action Disney remake. Maybe it's because it just looked dark and so colorless in general. Maybe it's because of the designs of the characters, like Flounder and Sebastian. Or, of course, it could have been the clear identity politics at play. Not just the race swapping of Ariel and casting Halle Bailey, but also everything that goes along with that. Oh, by the way, we're not going to have some of the same lyrics that we had in the original version because it's not okay for today. We need to worry more about consent and not offend anyone. Oh, and by the way, we're going to change the story. It's not going to be so much about her trying to find love because that doesn't fit a modern feminist agenda. The writing was on the wall with this movie, and there's been a lot of backlash for it. But with all the backlash, it's clear that the media only wants to talk about one thing, and that's racism. If you say anything bad about this, it's just racism. If this movie fails, if this movie gets bad reviews, it's going to be racism. That's the reason that they're going to try to use when this thing inevitably gets a ton of backlash. And it's the thing that they will not stop talking about in the mainstream media. Halle Bailey comments on racist backlash over the Little Mermaid casting. Halle Bailey says she was disappointed but not surprised about the online complaints over her casting as Ariel. And, you know, it's weird that this even got asked again to her, because if you look back, I'm going to pull up articles from the last several months. What do we have? Halle Bailey opens up about the Little Mermaid racist black backlash. As a black person, you just expect it. Halle Bailey addresses racist trolls criticizing her role. Little Mermaid star Halle Bailey responds to racist backlash. It's almost like it's been covered extensively, and every single time we hear her talk about it, we hear the same lines, like she was given these lines by Disney to say. But once again, the media is asking Halle Bailey about it. Bailey, just 16 at the time of her audition, was shocked by the production's interest in her. Well, why? Wouldn't that give everybody else reason to be shocked if they were interested because you didn't think a black person was going to be cast for that? That's weird. Quote, if I would have seen a black mermaid when I was younger, it would have changed my whole life, she said, calling the animated movie a childhood favorite. My whole perspective on how I feel about myself, my self-worth, my confidence, everything. Really? If you would have seen a black Ariel, it would have changed your whole life. That's really strange, Halle Bailey. Before we get to the racism comments, I guess I could just pull up Halle Bailey herself, a year ago, talking about this. Well, if it would have changed her whole life, then I guess she couldn't really see herself in Ariel, could she? She couldn't see herself as the Little Mermaid. Must not have had a big impact on her, did it?
Love. So, that one.
Little Mermaid live action or the original?
Oh my gosh, this is a really, really hard one because the animated version has always been so special to me since I was so small. I mean, it's the reason I would swim. I would be in the pool feeling like I am the animated version of her. And so
it was the reason I would swim. I'd be in the pool pretending like I was the animated version of her. It sounds like you love this movie. It sounds like you identified with this character. It sounds like you were pretending to be this character. Yet somehow, if she was black, it would have changed your entire life. That's the claim from Halle Bailey. So just let's get over how laughable that lie is when we already have her on screen saying something completely contrary to that. But let's continue on. When her casting was announced, a small but vocal faction of observers inevitably complained online about the decision to hire a black actor to play Ariel, who's white in the cartoon version. The racism didn't surprise me, says Bailey, who grew up outside Atlanta. Thanks for that tidbit. It's a little disappointing, but it's bound to happen. I didn't let it affect me, just focused on the positive response I was getting. This moment is so much bigger than any of that, especially for the black and brown babies out there. And this is a line she has said a million fucking times on the red carpet or the blue carpet, in interviews during the Oscars. She's had the same lines over and over again, like it's fed to her from Disney. For black and brown babies out there, I hope they feel filled with love and confidence in who they are, because it's essential that they see themselves in roles like this. As we just pointed out again with Halle Bailey's own words, she already saw herself. She already was trying to be this, pretending to be this person, felt like attached to this character. These are just bullshit lies that they're making up. But it's funny because when you actually go out there and look at where the racism is at, you'll see that there's a big double standard involved. Just the other day, just yesterday, We saw a actor of color, a Disney star, this guy who played Aladdin, Mia Massoud. He had the lightest criticism you could possibly imagine about The Little Mermaid. It wasn't even really criticism. It was a box office prediction. Look at this. Our film was unique in that audiences went to watch it multiple times, talking about Aladdin. It's the only way we reached the $1 billion mark with our opening. My guess is Little Mermaid doesn't cross the $1 billion mark, but will undoubtedly get a sequel. He has since deleted his Twitter account because Black Twitter, Little Mermaid stands, Disney fans have gone out there and attacked him relentlessly, called him racist, labeled him this, labeled him that, said you shouldn't be speaking out of turn about Black people like that, blah, blah, blah. You've seen it time and time again. He's deactivated his Twitter account because of that. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, if white people had been going out there and saying these things to this Egyptian Canadian actor of color, whatever they want to say for him, you know, these headlines would be a little bit different, right? Racist trolls, bully, person of color of Disney star off of Twitter. Not the case, because the shoe was on the other foot when it comes to this. The conversation surrounding The Little Mermaid has gotten insane. It is all about racism. It is all about race. That's all the media wants to focus on, because that is what they're going to try to blame a failure on for this movie. That's what Disney will do. We saw them do it with Obi-Wan, coming out with the whole Reva bullshit they tried to do. It's what Disney has done. That is their damage control. That is their go-to. When something fails, blame the audience. When something fails, blame racists, blame homophobes, blame misogynists, whatever they can pull out of their hat. It's a joke. In all likelihood, a lot of the people, for a lot of different reasons, that didn't like this movie aren't going to like it when it actually comes out. They're going to get a lot of criticism, and they're going to try to blame it all on racism. We'll see if that works out for Disney.